In the early days of the world, after the comet strike and the massive volcanic eruptions that wiped out most of the dinosaurs and early humans, a new threat emerged from the shadows. The air grew thick with a noxious, foul-smelling mist that seemed to cling to everything it touched. It carried with it a deadly virus that would soon turn the living into the undead. The first signs of the zombie infection were small and easily overlooked. A cut that refused to heal, a fever that would not break. But soon, the symptoms worsened, and the infected would become aggressive, attacking and biting those around them. As the virus spread, entire tribes and communities were wiped out. The survivors fled into the wilderness, but the virus was relentless. It seemed to thrive in the harsh conditions of the post-apocalyptic world. The world was now ruled by the undead. They roamed the land, seeking out the living to feed on. They were relentless and unstoppable, with a hunger that could not be satisfied. But not everyone succumbed to the virus. Some were immune, and they banded together, forming small communities that tried to survive in the hostile world. They learned to be quiet and stealthy, moving through the land like ghosts. They scavenged for food and weapons, and they built shelters that were fortified against the zombies. The immune survivors knew that they had to find a cure for the virus if they were to survive. They searched the ruins of the old world, seeking out clues and knowledge that could help them. They found old medical books, ancient texts, and strange artifacts that they hoped would hold the key to a cure. Finally, after years of searching, they discovered a plant that seemed to have properties that could counteract the virus. They brewed it into a tea and gave it to the infected. The results were nothing short of miraculous. The infected began to heal, their wounds closing up, and their fever breaking. They regained their humanity, and the hunger that had driven them to attack the living faded away. With the cure in hand, the immune survivors began a campaign to wipe out the zombies once and for all. They gathered their forces, armed themselves with the best weapons they could find, and set out to battle the undead. It was a long and brutal war, but eventually, the survivors prevailed. They wiped out the zombies, one by one, until the world was finally free of the infection. But the survivors knew that they could never forget what had happened. They knew that the virus could return at any time, and they vowed to be ready for it. They built new communities, ones that were fortified and armed against any future threats, and they continued to search for new cures and weapons, hoping that they would never have to face the horror of the zombie infection again.